violent protests in KwaZulu-Natal, which escalated as a mall in Pietermaritzburg was set on fire on Monday morning, South Africa's Economic Freedom Fighters Party has condemned the deployment of the military to violence-hit Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal provinces. In a statement issued shortly after President Cyril Ramaphosa's State of the Nation address, the EFF calls for political intervention in widespread uprisings. The party said the deployment of military to the streets is not a solution to the civil unrest and that it will not be part of any decision to legitimize the deployment of the army. The EFF has said its lawyers will write a letter to the president to seek for the legal basis for the deployment of soldiers. It added that it will take appropriate action if the president fails to respond to the letter in the next 12 hours. Well, the unfolding violence in the volatile South African province of KwaZulu-Natal is the latest batch of widespread restiveness in the country, coming less than 2 years after hoodlums there turned on fellow Africans in a mindless show of xenophobia. In that instance, hundreds of defenseless persons were mowed down in cold blood and property worth millions of dollars looted by rampaging street urchins. Well, this appears to be a recurrence since South Africa attained independence in 1994, leading to a question as to what continues to fuel this melee. Well, joining us now to examine this question and a lot more is Paul Ejime, who is a journalist, former war correspondent and international expert. Welcome to Newsday. Great to have you.
Thank you very much, ladies.
Well, let me begin by asking you where I start with our correspondent from South Africa who just spoke to us a moment ago, bringing us up to speed. What do you make of what is playing out in South Africa at the moment? President Cyril Ramaphosa has had to address the nation twice in the last 48 hours, but that doesn't seem to be doing much.
Well, it's a case of South Africa getting to boiling point again. Some called it, he called it opportunistic. Others, your reporter also mentioned one key element, which is the fact that there is poverty, sweeping across the country. And then many people are living below poverty line. Otherwise, when you are talking about a legal issue, why is it that the concentration is going to grab something from the shops? Zuma's legal troubles might have been there, but just a symptom. There's a deep-rooted inequality. South Africa from 1994 talked about black empowerment or emancipation. It hasn't happened. So you find millions unemployed people, and then crime rate, by the way, is South Africa has almost arguably the highest crime rate, include violence. Rape. A woman is raped every 30 seconds or so. But for some reason, they are not really given the kind of negative coverage that countries like Nigeria have. So, but that is the issue. It is this is just a trigger of something that was already there, a boiling point. It has reached, so the lead will be kicked off. It's an implosion of what you call the inequality, social, economic inequality, unemployment, crime rate, and the fact that government will seem not to have delivered. So they are now looking for something to hang on to. I think that is what has happened. And so now, but remember that in the past, you mentioned that 2 years ago, this type of thing, they will come against fellow Africans saying that they are taking their jobs. Now that is not the issue. So they are looking for something to hang on, to express their anger, to vent their anger and disagreement and, disaffection on a Ramaphosa government. But it's not today. When Zuma, whose incarceration or sentencing has sparked this now, was there, they didn't do much. And he was, let's face it, he wasn't that a leader by it. He was a, labor leader, an activist. That is a different from a leadership of a country that will provide a vision. that will provide policies that a country will move. He delayed this trial to now. He left office in 2018 and now has been dodging the bullets. Now he couldn't dodge anymore. The law has to take its course because that is the way. If it's either you are for democracy or whatever, you choose any other system of government. South Africans, the the citizens must understand that there is no solution in where they are going. But their government too must deliver. Government has not delivered. So let me stop here and hear what you have to say to
Okay,
that.
Ejime, let me take you further along then. Let's throw in another incendiary ingredient to what you've already described. Is it fair to say that even with what we see on the ground, there's the added thing which Nigerians may be able to relate to of tribalism? We saw how the people of Zulu rallied to the support of Jacob Zuma, irrespective of whether he was guilty or not, and almost set up a barricade around him. And now we see, I'm not sure if this is part of it, but correct me if I'm wrong, the economic freedom fighters saying they will challenge President Ramaphosa on having to send the military into the areas that maybe they consider to be their own territory. So what do you make of this? And if you were, what would you recommend President Ramaphosa do? Does he continue along the same trajectory?
Let's do it this way. You just pray that you don't get yourself to this level where the citizenry are up in arms, where they are not, you've not given them, you've not delivered on the well-being, the welfare of citizens. Because what happens is that they can now cling to anything. Politicians also do that. When they want to muddy up the waters, they go for either religious or ethnic factors. They cling to that and then evoke. You saw Zuma trying to invoke the sympathy that he used to be a freedom fighter. Yes, freedom fighter. That you had one, or that he had gone to jail. Yes, he was in jail with the late Nelson Mandela. But when the man came out, you can see the difference. Mandela served one term and left the scene. But here was somebody that was literally forced out of office. He started in 2013, was going to continue until the party, this same party that are talking now, said, no, you have to leave the scene. He was forced out in 2018. So he hasn't, really covered himself in glory. Now, back to whether, I think President Ramaphosa also has to watch it. Because initially he was trying to talk about ethnicity and all that. Yes. KwaZulu-Natal, that is Zuma's strong base. They can do all the dancing, the Zulu dance and all that. But the world has evolved. The world has left. That cannot take you anywhere now. It's about democracy. If you want the dividend democracy, subscribe to it and obey the rules. Play by the rules. If allegations are brought against you that there is corruption, what do? Go to court. You're not going to appeal to war. There's no war going on in South Africa there now, other than the war against poverty. You are not going to fight poverty with bows and arrows. You have to fight it with ideas that will make provision for what is lacking. So I think Ramaphosa made a mistake by referring to ethnic. There is no doubt that there is a kind of support for Zuma in his KwaZulu-Natal area. But the thing is now spreading. That your reporter talked about 10 dead. Today, this Tuesday, is about 32 that are dead. And what do? The police have been overwhelmed. And so that is the reason they have called in the military. But in doing so, I think they will have to be, respect the rights of citizens. Don't go ahead and start shooting people because you want to quell. That is one problem that Africa has. They never know how to manage, crisis, riots, violence. It has to come with, all right. Training, engagement.
Thank you so much for your insight on the developing situation in South Africa. Again, we're seeing live visuals. At this particular point, things seem to be calm as the security officials seem to be in control. People's on the floor, sitting on the floor, We assume they have been arrested as looting and vandalism continue across South Africa following the jailing of former President Zuma.